Real quick before we start, I recently launched channel memberships as a way to support the work I do here on YouTube. It's an alternative to my Patreon. If you're interested, more information will be at the end of the video. Enjoy. As fans of the Zelda series, we often give the spotlight to the hero Link, and understandably. I mean, he is a stunning, dashing lad with an impressive skill set ranging from swordsmanship to archery and magical abilities, to physical traits such as his amazing agility, strength, and courage. This skill set of his is what enables him to take on the great evils of the land such as Botw, ZANT'S, Ganondorf, Ganon, Majora, and even the source of evil itself, DEMISE'S. But one thing we often overlook is the skill set of the enemy. The darkness to the light which challenges Link, especially their weapons. Link has the Master Sword, the blade of evil's bane, but what do the enemies have? Well, today, we're going to be looking at the strongest enemy weapons in the Zelda series, and quick side note, these will be in no particular order, just the list of what I believe to be the strongest. Be sure to go grab yourself a snack or a drink and show me them on social media to get your video snacks featured right here, and let's get into the best of the best weapons of darkness in The Legend of Zelda. Kicking off our list takes us to my all-time favourite video game, Twilight Princess. The game where Hyrule is shrouded in twilight and Link must venture into the darkness to take on the King of Twilight, Zant. The game has a phenomenal story, and the long-awaited battle between Link and Ganondorf at the end of the game is one of my favourite parts. We are told about Ganondorf throughout the entire game, but don't actually meet him until the very end when he's at his peak. This is light versus dark, Link versus Ganondorf, and most importantly, the Master Sword versus the Sword of Six Sages. Ganondorf's blade in this time is immense. The story behind its name is chilling. The blade wasn't originally his. During Ganondorf's planned execution, the sages drew a blade to execute him with, but this execution was botched. Due to the power of the Triforce Ganondorf possessed, he was able to survive the blade being pierced right into his abdominal region, and in a moment of adrenaline-fueled malice, he broke free of his shackles, grabbed the blade out of himself, and lunged for the Sage of Water, and murdered the sage. In a moment of panic, the sages banished Ganondorf to the Twilight Realm, but at the cost of one of their own. There was 7 sages, but Ganondorf took one of their lives, thus giving the blade the name the Sword of Six Sages. A truly chilling tribute to his malicious attack, but the blade doesn't stop there. You know how the Master Sword is the blade that seals the darkness? Well, the Sword of Six Sages is the opposite, and we learn this in a line of dialogue coming from Ganondorf. Towards the final battle, Ganondorf says to Link to take this foul blade and use it to blot out the light forever. It could just be symbolic of the darkness of Twilight taking over the light of Hyrule, but considering this blade literally glows when in combat with the hero, I don't question that this blade has some form of sealing ability in contrast to the Master Sword's sealing abilities. This blade was one that almost took over Hyrule, but more dauntingly, has a very chilling backstory. Whilst our last pick focused on a weapon wielded by Ganondorf, the Gerudo King, this weapon is the piece of Ganondorf's oversized pig form, Ganon. The original big bad of The Legend of Zelda, and one of his most iconic and deadly weapons is his trident. The weapon appears in A Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, the Oracle games, Four Swords Adventures, and A Link Between Worlds, and the iteration I'm talking about is the one from Four Swords Adventures. Granted, yeah, the other iterations are extremely badass and powerful, but the appearance in Four Swords Adventures is both my favourite and most powerful. This is like the Sword of Six Sages, it has a backstory, and of course its actual ability. In Four Swords Adventures, Ganon actually found the trident and stole it. He broke the law of Gerudo and entered the pyramid across the Desert of Doubt, and deep within lay an inscription promising the potential wielder the power to become the King of Darkness. This was a match made in heaven for Ganon. We don't see much of it, but within the final battle we get a real good look at it. Ganon uses it to attack Link, but it's no ordinary Trident of Darkness. Of course it's not. The Trident has the ability to draw and shoot flurries of lightning that can send Link to the Dark World. A truly powerful ability to best Link 9 times out of 10. Oh, and it has a cool as trail of blue fire when thrown. It's even mentioned by one of the Hyrulean knights that Ganon used the Trident to defeat the army and send them into the Dark World. A truly relentless attack with a truly powerful weapon. Now for a very unique weapon. Skyward Sword is the game that tells us the beginning of Hyrule, and the very first evil that plagued the land. The source of all evil to come, in fact. Demise, and my god, this evil is one hell of a badass. Demise is a totally shredded gym lad, if you will, with a fiery mane and gigantic blade in all black, rocking an inverted triforce symbolic of his hatred for the gods and goddesses of the land. This beast is evil, and his blade matches. Girahim, the puppet enemy of Skyward Sword, is actually revealed to be the Sword of Demise towards the end of the game. He was simply just put into humanoid form, but he's actually the Blade. Girahim was simply Demise testing Link out to size him up, anticipating their battle, and boy was that some plan, cause damn, Link gives it to Demise. But this is not to take away from the incredible ability of Demise's sword. Putting the fact that the blade is literally another enemy, and a strong one at that, it's essentially the anti-Master Sword. If Link is struck by the blade, it will send him flying backwards, and if Demise raises it to the sky, it will begin to attract and absorb lightning and send a shock towards Link. Oh, and to add to all of that, it can also send beams similar to the Master Sword when at full charge. This sword is truly symbolic of evil. Fi is the spirit of the Master Sword, the light side. Girahim, the spirit of Demise's sword, is the dark side. If it wasn't for the Hero of Sky's courageous efforts and skills, Demise and his masterful blade would have written the history of Hyrule very differently. The previous entries have all been the blades and pointy thing of the big bads of the series, but this one is for a standard enemy. Actually, I take that back, as we are talking about the DARKNUTs. Oh yeah baby, let's go. These tough nut, athletic, combat trained, monstrous Dark Knights are arguably the strongest non-boss enemy in the entire Zelda series. They've certainly got my vote, and their claymore-sized blades is one of the toughest pieces of metal in the series. DARKNUTs are covered in thick plated armor, which is near impenetrable, and the blade matches. As I mentioned, it's more of a claymore to the regular Hylian, but to a DARKNUT, this is just a sword, and my god it is strong. The thing can absolutely wipe Link out if struck with, and due to the solid form of the blade and strength of the DARKNUTs, it makes it one of the strongest weapons wielded by an enemy in the entire series, at least in my opinion. It might not have the magical abilities of darkness, but it does have good old-fashioned raw strength. Now to venture into the Twilight, the realm of shadows and darkness led by an evil figure known as Zant, the sidekick, or rather puppet, of Ganondorf. And although we previously discussed Ganondorf's Sword of Six Sages from Twilight Princess, the spotlight this time is on Zant's scimitar. Hold on a second, is that a scimitar? Well, I've had this questionable issue in the past when I made my 5 Zelda items you might not know about video a while back, and didn't question its name, not to mention the fact I pronounced it scimitar and got absolutely destroyed in the comments for making a mistake. I'm sorry, I'm only human, I didn't know how to pronounce it, stop leaving comments about it, please, it keeps me up at night, oh my god. Okay, it's not your conventional scimitar at all, but it's called that in the game files, so that's what I went by. Perhaps it was originally intended to be one, but they changed the design but not the file name, or maybe it got mixed up with his blades used in his boss fight. I don't know, but what I do know is that his blade is extremely powerful, and not just in the sense of combat. This blade has the ability to revive the dead, and we see this in action within the Arbiter's grounds, when Link finds the chamber containing the skeletal remains of a beast. Zant appears on top top of the remains, and after a brief conversation with Link, he stabs the blade into the skull of the remains, and we see red twilight veins begin to fill throughout the skull sourced from the blade. It contains some sort of twilight magic that injected into the skull of Star-Lord, causing the remains to come to life and almost crush Link to death. The skull even floats and spits fireballs. Those abilities all came from this blade, the Scimitar of Twilight. Alright, nope, that doesn't work for me. No name. Those abilities all came from this blade, the Sword of Twilight. We don't see it in combat at all, but just knowing it has this ability makes it powerful alone. Thanks a ton for checking out the video. If you enjoyed, be sure to drop a like to help the channel out, and consider subscribing to help yourself out to tons of Zelda content. What do you think of my list? Are these truly the most powerful weapons carried by enemies in the Zelda series, or are there even stronger weapons that I missed? Be sure to leave a comment below with your thoughts, and let's get a discussion going. As always, huge thanks goes out to all of my Patreon supporters for your incredibly generous support of the channel. I can't thank you guys enough, and as mentioned at the beginning of the video, I now have channel memberships available for those who might prefer supporting the channel directly here on YouTube, opposed to Patreon. The choice is yours, and just so you know, the benefits are very similar. YouTube works slightly differently, so I had to split it up into rewards by tiers, but I plan to treat both Patreon and channel members equally with the same rewards. So yeah, if you'd like to support the channel, you now have the option of either my Patreon page, or hit the magical join button below to support here directly on YouTube. Again, thanks for watching, and until the next time, I've been Hyrule Gamer.